It's November 26th, 2014, and this is going to be a very short clip because about the government rape, because I just wanted to clarify something from the last one, which is that I made, which is marked for November 25th, 2014, and is Section 8 in the RICO Rape by U.S. Government series that I've been doing. And what I wanted to clarify is when they were doing this practice of blowjobs for milk, or blowjobs in general when I was a toddler, it's if I was toddling, one thing that they were doing is they were having men get down lower so that I could reach them, and then something else that they were doing, since I was shorter and it wasn't always comfortable for them to get down on their knees or down to my level, so that I would do this blowjob for them. I was being taken to government offices and different other kinds of offices, and I was in houses with booster seats. So they would have me around a table, and they'd have me sit in a I'd want my bottle, and then they'd bring the bottle over from the refrigerator, but they would have me sit in a chair that was then propped up with some things, and then had a booster seat strapped into it. And then I would be strapped into the booster seat so that I was exactly the level of a man who would be standing next to me, and with direct proximity to his penis. And that happened to me at my grandparents' house in Kashmir, Washington, where they used the booster seat. And it was in the kitchen, and there were different people coming into the house and doing that to me. It was also done at dentist offices and medical offices, where they could put me in a kind of chair, and then they would pump the brake thing down at the bottom, and it would elevate me to a certain height. And then they would bring in a doctor or someone else who wasn't the doctor, but the doctor would cover for them. And right there in a medical facility, they would have me forced to do blowjobs. And again, when I was that young as a toddler, they were using different ways to make it easy for them to have me at the height that they wanted me at, so that it would facilitate what they wanted. The other place that other things that were used in addition to that is beautician chairs, where you can sit in a beautician chair, and you go in typically to get your first haircut. And they can elevate that chair by stepping on a kind of pedal on the bottom, and then it raises the chair up to the height that they want. And they use it for kids and adults and all kinds of people. Well, they were using that. A couple of people had beautician chairs in their houses, and others had it in their own beautician offices. And sometimes I was taken in after hours to such an office when it was closed to the public, and if it wasn't a private residence where there was such a chair, and I was being forced to do this. So this obviously was including a large number of people. It was in dental offices, medical offices, and beautician offices, and houses. So, it was not just at private residences or at my family's house. And I wanted to clarify that also with when I was talking about the wire or whatever that would go from the brace. It was actually, it looked like I was making it smaller than it really was, like it was about this thin. It was more like that wide. I mean, like, it was smaller when it looked smaller when I was little because I was a kid. But I mean, it would cover most of my forehead. This band would. I mean, I would say like right in the center, but about maybe this much. And the wire was sometimes connected in the back. It wasn't like it was just sticking out from one of these screws that were on either side of my head. And unless there was a clamp for some sort of electrical thing like a car, which they did use a very long extension cord for on occasion. But sometimes it was something in the back, and that got connected. And then very often, another thing that I was connected to for whatever reason, I don't know exactly how it was working, but they were putting a metal band around my wrist. So they would connect. I mean, sometimes I was getting chained down when they were doing this kind of thing if I was in bed or in a chair. Sometimes they would chain my arms to the side so that I couldn't move or fight or get away. But other times, once they had me, when I was older and they had me conditioned not to try to run, they were putting some sort of a metal brace around my wrist, and that had a cord that was going to this electrical box. So I would have this brace on my head, and then on at least one wrist, some metal band with a cord, and then they were using some kind of electrical surge to torture me with. So that's just explaining a little more how they were doing some of these things. They used high chairs as well, baby high chairs, but sometimes those baby high chairs were too high. So when I was a baby, a lot younger, what they most often did is they'd assault me on some kind of a table, or when I was a toddler, they'd have me in a booster chair or in a chair that was getting elevated to the height they wanted. So the next clip I will discuss more how they were premeditating to have me accept and act and pretend along with them.